not posting for almost 2 years. That is the single biggest mistake that I've made on YouTube so far. But if you want to know the intricacies of why I didn't post, the mistakes I made, and the lessons I learned covering perfectionism, attachment, creativity, and beyond, so that you don't repeat these mistakes, whether it be on YouTube, social media, or your other creative endeavors, stick around and watch till the end.
Hi, now you're about to hear way more additional context, but that was because it was part of the original upload for this, which was from April. But I'm re-uploading it on the second channel because everything has changed. TLDR, strategy has been revamped. I'm axing the podcast as we know it, and this is still fresh enough that I want it on the second channel because there's a lot of gold here. Now, some key things to note. Number one, every time I say this channel, I was referring to the main channel. I do cover this in an additional context, but that's number one. Number two, when I give context in a moment, I am talking about it from the podcast perspective, like, oh, it's been 2.5 years. That's what I'm referring to. And I do all that because it was originally uploaded there. No need to just subscribe to that channel anymore. It is officially turned into an archive. Main channel and second channel about to pick up steam. Podcast audio feed still existent. Just going to be main channel and second channel now. So that is important to know. Lord have mercy, forgive me for all this confusion. It will become apparent soon what is going on. Anyways, without further ado, I hope you enjoy this podcast solo yapping session. I'm not sure what I'm calling these anymore. Anyways, enjoy. Goodbye.
Some housekeeping before we get going. First time doing this in such a long time. I believe the last podcast I recorded was August 2021 and then posted in October 2021. So it's been almost 2.5 years. So weird to be doing this, but I'm really excited to be back. First and foremost, this was filmed as a main channel video that had such a podcast feel by the time I was done that I said, fuck it, we're posting this as a podcast instead. You know, I had plans to record a first Q&A. That'll probably be the next video after the, or next podcast after this. See, I'm not used to this at all. But just so you know, every time I say this channel, I'm obviously talking about the main channel because that is where this was originally supposed to go. Now, if you're wondering where I've been all this time, first of all, I should have said something or uploaded something that said like, hey, I'm just going on hiatus. Long story short, podcast fell in priority. Couldn't even keep up the main channel. Second channel, there was some videos that I posted, but it was just super casual. But we're back in ways I did not foresee, and I'm excited to be here. I'm not exactly sure what this format is gonna look like over time, but I know I'll experiment, I'll explore, and we'll find something that's valuable for both you and I. All I know for sure is I want a place where I can talk a lot. So this format is perfect for me. Expect more clips, shorter form, faster paced, but also I want to be able to keep things casual. I have fucked myself up with retention and trying to go too fast and keeping all this content too high pressure. So I just want to let loose on here, cover meaningful stuff, but also do so in a way where I can just casually talk with you, with other people. And I'm excited to bring you along for this journey and hopefully bring you a metric fuck ton of value. That's what I care about, or else I wouldn't be doing this show to begin with. Now, I didn't have much of an outline, so this turned into a chaotic yapping session. But I hope this deep dive into all sorts of mistakes, lessons, etc. proves very valuable for my fellow creatives. Enjoy. As I record this, it is the end of March 2024, and from January 2022 to September 2023, I had a 20-month hiatus. Such an L. Now, in what I call moving video part 2, which was posted on my second channel, I briefly touched on this topic, but I wanted to cover it in depth in its own video. And since filming that way back when, there's been new lessons that have been learned. My perspectives and takes on this situation have evolved, and I see things very differently now. First and foremost, let's catch you up to speed on what exactly happened. January 2022, I upload the drone video. Awesome, it does well. I end up getting like, I'm sure I'm at like what, 40K right now with this? Yeah, 41K I just recently hit. And at the time it did around like 20, 25 kind of thing. And it was like the first video to actually do really well like that. I was excited as hell. Shortly after, I uploaded the beach video, also known as Is the Beach Overrated? Those two videos were significant because those were the first times I was properly editing for retention. I had started to learn about the algorithm and it changed the way I was editing. The amount of times I would go back, do an entire cut just based on, okay, what would the algorithm want? Like, let's speed this up. Like, let's go faster, cut the nonsense, limit personal connection was even my mindset at that time. I was like, let's just condense this down to the absolute minimum. Absolute minimum that I could see at the time, because as I watch those now, I could still cut like so much. But the reason why these two matter so much is because after I got that algorithmic bug, it fucked me up hard. After that, I struggled to make videos the same way. Where I got trapped with the algorithm side of things, back in the day, I absolutely loved high volume, just reps, building the skill. It was everything to me. But then after a certain point, I realized how important it is on YouTube to focus on less but better. And this is a great strategy, so long as you don't mentally fuck yourself over, which is what I did. The YouTube algorithm is fucking incredible. You can spend such a long time putting out less videos that are so optimized for the algorithm that they do so much better that it's technically net score positive to making a bunch of videos that are mediocre. And then as a bonus, if that video flops in the short term, there's a possibility that like 10 years down the line, it can completely explode and your investment would be worth every penny and every second you put into it. One of many reasons I absolutely fucking adore YouTube. But even though I had a ton of reps behind me and a lot of skill that I've built in the process, I started overthinking everything to such a high degree because there wasn't enough reps. And then my videos were on such a pedestal in my mind that they were never good enough. It's a dangerous game and you can't let yourself enter overthinking territory or else this low volume with high quality strategy ceases to exist. For the longest time on YouTube, throughout that entire span where I was just making raw content under what is now my podcast, but at the time it was kind of just like the main channel and the podcast and the main channel were sort of merged. I had a weird strategy back in the day. But for the longest time, I just stayed in my own zone and I didn't want to do things as everyone else. I was very inspired by Gary Vaynerchuk, who kept everything very fucking simple, very to the point, didn't focus on quality of cameras or lighting that much, or even sound like it was such a different way of creating content because it was all about the message and not about the creative side of things. And it's kind of weird because I latched onto this because I liked how well it counteracted the perfectionism within inside of me. I would call myself someone who has battled with perfection my entire creative career. It's always kind of something I'm working on and battling in a way. I intend on working through it to the point where it is completely not a part of me anymore, but I'm not there. I have a lot to clear around this right now. Hearing Gary talk about perfectionism, it really helped me get started on things. And same thing with Document, Don't Create as well. That was a great starting point for me to get back into the game with content. But I had this weird theory where I needed to keep everything super raw to the point where I kind of didn't watch people. I kind of just stayed in my own zone and did things my way because I didn't want to become like everyone else. I wanted to do things differently and I just wanted so badly for my thing to pop, but in my way. Anyways, not the best strategy. There's time for that, but I just don't think it was as useful as I intended it to be. So after a while of doing that, I was like, fuck it, we're gonna start trying things differently and let's start learning about how to level up the videos. And that actually really happened with the weekly vlogs, which in retrospect are fucking cringe in many ways. But there's also a lot of good things that came from the vlogs as well, including me caring about creative more again, trying to get better with cameras, trying to get better with shots. That was the beginning of me enjoying the side. I mean, this was all done on my phone, but starting to care about this shot should be framed this way. I should have this. I was getting back into the creative side of things again, which I had previously neglected to focus specifically on the message, which was really, really good for me because all along I had the creative skills to do this, but I was specifically trying to keep things raw to level up my communication skills, to level up my ability to verbally tell a story, to paint with my words rather than just my edits. Because as everyone, I've been editing for fucking God. We're looking at since 2008, if you want to trace it back to my first ever video I made in Windows Movie Maker. Shout out Hockey Lava 7. If you know, you know. The best part about that era for me was I kept everything so simple. I kept everything so raw. It didn't need to be so polished. I was just sharing my perspectives on camera and just hoping that they aged well. That was all it was. Like just sharing the gold, sharing the journey, keeping it real, until I started to get fixated on quality. Late 2020, I just got sick of like doing the vlogs as is. I wanted to make more artistic videos. You can sort of see my final vlog. I started to, try out more B-roll, do more storytelling. I just became sick of the vlogs, right? And the vlogs were very imperfect as is. They were rough, they were raw, everything was done on phone, lots of talking, kind of just keeping it real. But then I was just like, I've grown tired of this. I've outgrown this format. I want to minimize everything, and I want to tell stories with footage to get to a place where I'm visually storytelling, including the verbal storytelling as well. And then in the summer of 2022, I finally got my first camera. Shout out to the Sony ZV-1. Loved it so much, I ended up getting a second one shortly afterwards. And around when I got the camera, I started taking everything way more seriously. I started seeing myself as more as a filmmaker, even though I was still on a point and shoot at this time, which I still am, by the way. Let's fucking go. I then started to script out and outline videos and treat everything way more intentionally with my creative. First doing Just Start. I was originally gonna be my main channel's first video. I believe it ended up being second for unseen events that occurred, but it was the first time I properly scripted everything, read that script in an A-roll, intentionally filmed B-roll for that video. It was the first time I was trying to make a serious YouTube video that told a story in a short format. And in many ways, this video symbolized a new chapter for me on YouTube. And then of course I got the drone for those extra cinematic shots. Everything in my equipment stack just began to upgrade as my skill set was evolving with everything to do with video editing, storytelling, etc. Then a month later, I filmed the drone vlog and the beach vlog, which did not get edited for a while, but those were, again, I just knew as soon as I filmed them that these were gonna be pivotal videos for my style and my channel. Around this time as well, I was just obsessively studying, for example, Logan Paul and Hayden Hillier-Smith. Those were massive inspirations for me to level up my quality. Like Hayden Hillier-Smith, best editor on YouTube, he kicks ass. Whether it was like Logan Paul, David Dobrik, Casey Neistat, Hollywood Films. I started to watch videos and movies and TV shows not from the eye of a consumer, but from the eye of a creator. Everything started to become a tutorial for me. Every time I was watching these, they were showing me things I could do, ways to cut things. I would slow it down in quarter speed, see exactly what was going on. I didn't need to watch tutorials because my mind was so evolved with the craft of making videos that everything became a masterclass through observation. Now, I'm so glad I did this, but where I failed was I started to get really attached. The perfectionism side of my brain latched on to the fact that I could make this quality of video. I could make a Hollywood film. Now, thankfully, this hadn't fully hit yet because I did get 2 videos out of my main channel before the fixation got insane. I'm a little bit behind, but I eventually posted the drone video in December 2021 and then the beach video in January 2022. Now, this is where shit starts to hit the fan. I start to unhealthily become obsessed with Hollywood films to the point where I start thinking that I need to make Hollywood films, but not actually. Let's instead try to make everything we make for YouTube at a Hollywood level. And this complete, almost delusion, I guess you could say, for some reason, my brain thought, let's take YouTube as a format and make it at the level that Hollywood does, or as close to this as possible, while also still staying on YouTube. Whether it was just me doing a talking head video with some B-roll over top of it, or it was some sort of like vlog with a storytelling element, everything was just like so high pressure and everything needed to be a certain way. Granted, I was leveling up my skills a lot with the camera, my editing, and my storytelling, but it became this fixation on everything needing to be so much better than I was. I had a certain standard of where my skills were actually at in reality, but then my brain was so fixated on punching above that. So wherever I was at, it was trying to do way more than that and just punch up above in skill class. And that fundamentally fucked me up so hard because every single thing I was making was not enough and I was not enough. So that complicated the process tremendously. My expectations were so fucking warped for what I was making. There was no chance that anything I was making was gonna come out as I saw it in my mind, because again, I'm trying to make Hollywood films up here and it's just not gonna fucking happen. It's so silly to think about in retrospect, but it's what happened. Now going back a little bit to November 2021, that is when I found out we were moving. And then from that moment, I knew I wanted to make a film out of it because it was the only time that I was ever going to move out for the first time. So in my mind, it meant so much to me. And talk about pedestals, this was on a massive pedestal. It was a combination of a bunch of things. You've got the fact that it will never happen again, and I want to capture it right, quote unquote. Then you've got the attachment to it coming out a certain way, trying to punch above my skill set, an extreme attachment to everything I just mentioned, a lack of systems for editing and managing a chaotic project, and then absolute chaos from an energetic perspective, because I hadn't worked at a deep enough level to tackle all of these root causes. Things like the attachment, what I was able to manage, the internal chaos, and how that manifests in a timeline when you don't have your own internals cleared and peaceful and calm and orderly. And then even if that was the case, I had nothing to lean on in terms of the systems, because the systems weren't orderly enough. They were fucking chaotic as well, because I'd never taken on a big enough, chaotic enough, complex enough project that the moving video was. There was so much footage and I was not used to storytelling at all. I became fixated on storytelling, which is again, a good thing, but it can absolutely go too far to the point where it sabotages you, and that is what happened here. I wanted this video to be absolutely fucking perfect. And again, going back to that punching up in skill class, nothing was ever enough. I rewrote that script probably 10 times, like thorough rewrites. It was so long. I didn't know exactly how I wanted it to come out. My lack of clarity was it was just tremendous. I was also so deep in the chaos that I struggled to see like what were the essential things that I should include and what should I completely axe. I struggled because I wanted to include everything. It was chaos. I was taking everything so seriously. Everything mattered so much. The pressure was fucking enormous. So much so. It was so quote unquote special that I only let myself work on it at certain times. I couldn't be feeling bad in that moment, because what if I just chopped the wrong thing and sabotaged the video because I wasn't seeing clearly, because I was in a certain mood. I couldn't work on it when I was too tired, because what if I missed this thing? Or what if I added in the wrong thing? And these were the thoughts I was having. It makes no sense. I'm well aware. But the things we convince ourselves of creatively when we're like in the chaos is batshit crazy. And that is why you need to have people around you, or a coach or a consultant, to kind of like bring you out of the fucking chaos. But the reality was, like, my storytelling skills weren't as good as I wanted them to be. I quote unquote needed them to be to release that video. So I just kind of kept at it, and then originally it was like a decent timeline, and then it very quickly became an absolute shit show and took way longer than I was expecting. Everything I just mentioned also got put on absolute steroids because I didn't let myself work on any other videos until I finished this one. So it had good intentions. I was trying to make sure I was closing loops and not starting a bunch of open loops, and I'm so thankful I didn't start a bunch of videos, because that would have fucking killed me in the end. But it created such pressure to finish this moving video where it was absolutely crippling. It's insane to think about, because I was just trying to limit the amount of things that I was taking on, but in the end it became an even higher pressure item, and I took it so much more seriously than it should have been taken. The pressure was at 11 for no reason. Yes, it is a very meaningful video, and I'm glad that it came out in the way it did, but it ended up hurting me more than helping me. Completely forgot to record this part, but in April 2022, I decided to go full tilt with freelance marketing. And in terms of my own content, this made things even more challenging. So throughout all of 2022, I was so plagued and barely got anything that I needed to do done within my own main channel, which at the time I attributed mostly to trying to balance freelance. I was consistently putting freelance first thing in my magic time, and that's whatever I put there is what gets done, because that is my most effective time. And I had to do that because that was top priority. It took a lot out of me because I was so new to this. I was figuring things out as I went, expanding all sorts of skill sets, working on being diligent about timelines and all this stuff, even though I wasn't perfect at it. But I was trying to get better, super out of my comfort zone, doing my best, and very creatively draining because it just took so much out of me. Not only was I extremely resistant, but I was also prioritizing freelance so that by the time it got too late, the resistance was too high, everything was too complex, my energy was too low, my creativity was not enough. So by the time I finished my day and I was all drained and I had it in me, but I didn't see it at the time. And just because I was so blocked, I just kept pushing this stuff off to a later time. My work ethic also wasn't at the level that I really thought it was. I didn't know this until later, but I had so much more to give. I was just taking everything so damn seriously and not having any fun with anything. It was something I was actively avoiding because I didn't have fun with it anymore. It was a grind, it was all uphill. I'd waited too long and I was so drained creatively that all I wanted to do was just fucking relax at that point. And I also wasn't in the habit of editing when I was tired. I avoided that, as I touched on before. And this whole thing was just on way too much of a pedestal, way too serious, to the point where I pushed it away instead of jumping in and making things happen and embracing the chaos and the imperfections and the messiness of everything. I just let the shit eat me alive. Now, if you were to ask me like 6 months ago why this all happened, of course I would have said similar things to what I'm saying right now. But a major thing I would have pointed to is the fact that I was doing freelance and it took a lot out of me. And as I sit here in March 2024, I can see that that is not the full truth. It was a lack of time management, resource management, in addition to all of those things needing to be either cleared or worked on at a root cause level, energetically, mental, habitual, etc. But then the other side of things, like the systems needed to be upgraded. But then underneath it all, yes, focus is very valuable. And I absolutely love being able to throw myself fully in something. However, there was a lack of skill around managing multiple projects at once. As I was doing the main stuff for freelance in 2022, for example, I was so in chaos and I had all of these moving parts and I just wasn't able to handle all the chaos. I didn't have the systems externally, I didn't have the beliefs, I didn't have the habits, and I definitely didn't have the energetic alignment inside of me as well. Then around October 2022, the gears really started turning about how I wanted to pursue consulting instead of just freelance. And this added a whole new complexity, which is a whole new project to work towards that comes before content. Now, part of me was like, yes, I just want to get this moving video stuff done. The other part of me was like, the faster I do this and move forward things with consulting, the faster I can do the moving video stuff after. But what matters more is generating income. So I continued to do freelance, and then on the side, I would progress the consulting, and here and there, I would hack away at the videos, progress things ever so slightly, but again, so much resistance that it didn't come together as planned. The external timelines here really forced progress. For example, when I was leaving my first apartment, that forced me to get a good enough script together where I could record the A-roll and have the background be the first apartment, which would, in my mind, was very, very important. Same thing was, of course, true with everything I filmed with the moving video part 2 as well. And then I was going so insane having long hair that forced me to create a good enough draft and film everything in the first week of 2023. All of this came because of external timelines that forced action. So I continued on trying to balance these things. Progressively along the way, I decided to heal more things, and thank God, because around, maybe March 2023, I started to just let go of the Hollywood side of things and just go back to trying to make videos. Instead of being so wrapped up in every shot being top of the line, I started to embrace things like stock footage, clips from movies, TV, YouTube, memes, and I also started to lean into bad footage if it told a better story. All of this right beside my best shots. To let myself do that before was impossible in my mind. But I just wanted to have fun with videos again, so I did just that. I went back to being more playful with things, leaning into humor, taking things less seriously, and that made things a whole lot easier. I was still very blocked, but at least that was a major step in the right direction when I started focusing on making videos instead of films. By the way, somewhere all around here, I'm like making really casual second channel videos. I think I made like 8 during this whole period, but this is all, you know, like very light videos in the second channel. Doesn't matter at all. So that's why they actually happened. I only did them because they were interesting, fun, and the only reason they jumped ahead of schedule was because they were either on a timely basis or there was just something I really just wanted to share. So I progressively moved things a little bit forward with moving video. By spring, I eventually have like a decent working concept of how I typically want things to go. And then I keep at it super on the side because consulting is top priority and I'm trying to like build out all this infrastructure and upgrade all these things, heal through all these blockages I have around consulting. Again, if I'm gonna heal through blockages, I'd rather do the thing that makes me way more money versus the thing I'm doing for free, content. So that was top priority. And then of course I'm trying to manage me being burnt out with freelance because I want to do consulting more than anything. Freelance burning me out, making me more tired in my off hours. There's just like all these things working against me and things I let sabotage me. Now flash forward to August 2023, I'm doing freelance marketing at the time and I get a window. I can jump to do consulting and content, and first thing I do when I jump, I tackle these fucking videos because they are killing me inside to the point where I would literally not feel like I was existing in real time because I had these videos pulling at me from my past. The big 3, as I call them in retrospect: moving video part 1, moving video part 2, and then the haircut video. First thing I immediately did was I jumped into the moving video part 1 because I just wanted this motherfucker done. Now, the challenge with all these videos, these were all a grind in their own ways. So first and foremost, they were so far in the past that this was an absolute grind for me. You can't refilm things. Once it's done, it's done. Once it's said, it's said. I only got the chance to work with what I had. I couldn't refilm anything, so if I fuck this up right now, for example, I can go back and just refilm this shit tomorrow, or refilm a segment, or cover it up with B-roll and do it's simple. It's really simple. And you'll see that more and more. I mean, you won't see it because I'll hide it well, but that's what YouTube is. It's a lot of refilming, especially because I wear the exact same outfit every day, so you would never be able to tell. Now, the other side of things is that I was trying to make it a certain way so that I could honor my previous self, even though there were past things that I disagreed with, and I fucking hate that. I hate making old content because by the time I publish it, you think that I think that way, and I know I don't think that way. So I'm creating this like fucking terrible PR cycle where I say things that I know are like unevolved and part of me being in the chaos of everything. It's fine if I say that when I'm in the chaos, but if I am out of the chaos and I say it, it just hurts me it hurts my ego is what it is. I shouldn't care as much as I do, but I fucking do, okay? I want it to be a certain way. I want it also to do right by my previous self. I want to make it a great video. I have lost all passion for these videos at this point, so it is an absolute grind, and that is why you should edit right after you film. Then the reliance, while it started with the moving video part 1, then it became, as soon as that was done, I was like, I want to put out consulting content to just jumpstart the business and really grow the clientele. But then it was like, I need to finish moving video part 2 next. And then after that, it was the haircut. And it's like, for the longest time, the movie video, I wouldn't even show the fucking background of this place because I hadn't done a house tour. And people were still thinking I'm still at the old house and everything like that. And I just didn't want to I cared so much about the storytelling and the lore of everything. It's fucking insane. My brain was just so fixated on this stuff. Then, with the hair, I spent a full fucking year with a beanie on for anything that was timely, and everything else was like, you can't make this. So exceptions to this rule became, I needed to make my annual videos of Spotify Wrapped and the Leaf annual playoff exit fuck that shit, bro. This demon hurts. So I spent a full year hiding from the world in a way where I wouldn't post any pictures of myself or anything like that. And yeah, it was very strange. It was very strange. All of that because I was absolutely fixated and the perfectionism took over and I needed to have things happen in this specific order, and it was wild, bro. Now you might be wondering, why didn't I just surrender to the fact that I could just let these go and just move on? I wanted to, trust me, I did, because this was actually causing me like physical fucking, that's not true, it wasn't physical, emotional pain. It sucked, bro. Really, really sucked. I put myself through fucking hell with these videos, quite literally. And I surrendered to not doing them, but I still had this pull to finish all 3. And this became absolutely pivotal for what I think I can do. Because even though it might not seem like it, these videos were so fucking challenging for me. Such a grind. It was a pure internal hell that unless you're a creative and experiencing all sorts of expectations, attachments, and lack of progress and all these things coming in the way, whether it's freelance or wanting to build another business or struggling with time and energy, physical, metaphysical, lack of alignment, the chaos of everything, the lack of structure and order, the crippling perfectionism, the trying to do things better than you actually are, never anything being enough. All of these things coming together just created a literal hell that I don't know if you can fully understand unless you've been through something like this. Being a creative is not fucking easy, but I just am. So I mean, I'm in this shit for life because I'm too good to not continue with this stuff. So, but fuck, if you don't work on the energetic side of things, it's garbage, bro. So, and you might be thinking like, why didn't you work more energetically on stuff? Fuck. I mean, I wish this shit cleared overnight. It didn't at the time. So everything was still present and things have changed a lot since. But at the time, there was a lot of expectations. There was a lot of pressure on things, and it just became something it should have never been. I also prioritized just throwing myself repeatedly against the wall, right into the work, because I thought it was gonna go so much faster, and I was like, let me just get this done and I can heal the stuff later. Mistake. Because it ended up taking way longer than expected, partially because I didn't do the original thing, which is work through the blockages, because the more blockages you have, the slower everything goes. It's just, think about like if you were to run through water versus run through air. Water, way more resistance, harder to do, slower, right? Air, less resistance, so you can move faster. I'm about to go on a should have path, even though I know this isn't real because it is the way it is and I can't change the past. But if I was to redo this, what I would have done is embraced where I was at, then specifically in skill, then made the best product of what I was capable of at that time, and then moved on to the next thing. And also, it would be completely fine if I decided to make a video besides that, because not every video fucking matters and needs to be put out so much. But things I didn't know at the time. Such is life, bro. Such is life. The other side of things is you're supposed to edit right after you film. Casey Neistat, for example, edits immediately after he comes home from filming a vlog. He doesn't let himself eat. He doesn't let himself do whatever. It is straight editing because he knows if he puts it off too long, he will never come back to edit it. And I completely relate to that. And I didn't know this at the time. Now I do. I keep things very simple with my editing. This, for example, is going to get clipped up very fucking fast. I do have a lot of things I need to be doing right now. However, I had a pull to do this today, so we're going to do that. But I jump into editing now. I used to fucking hate it. When I was doing vlogs, I would film, loved that part, hated the edit. Now I actually like editing more than I like filming. It's actually writing, editing than filming in terms of my ranking of what I like the most. But I love the ability to immediately find out, okay, like what worked, what didn't. Let's start refilming if we need to. Let's keep everything very like orderly. I have great fucking systems now for handling all sorts of chaos if need be. I've learned all sorts of things. And then most importantly, I've cleared so much inside of myself for the past 2 years. When I say inside of myself, I mean like energetically, and then also like, bodily awareness and all this shit. But it's allowed me to work through sorts of blockages and chaos and attachment and perfectionism that, like I understand, like it's still kind of like there. I can hear the whispers, if you will, but I don't need to like give in to them. I'm a lot more nonchalant if you're not seeing this right now. I could have fixated so much on this, but even like right now, I was clearing stuff around perfectionism. Wasn't thinking about it like that, but just this certain pattern with social media that I'm experiencing right now of thinking my micro posts aren't good enough. And as I cleared enough of that, then I was able to feel the pull to do this because that's naturally what should be happening. But then when you work through enough of the blockages, the inspiration and the action are just right there. People think, oh, if I get to a certain level of peace, I'm just going to want to do nothing. That is not the case. Trust me. In key areas, I am absolutely there, and holy fuck, I feel peace, and I want to move forward. I want to grow. I want to expand. I want to evolve. It's not this, I want to go like sit on a beach and do nothing, or I don't know, or sit on a mountaintop. Like maybe I want to do that at some point, but like right now I'm just enjoying the build and the climb of it all. It's fascinating. It's enjoyable. So editing by itself is already so challenging, but the longer you wait, the less fresh it's going to be. And that freshness, that excitement, that enthusiasm you have, that powers the project when you first start it. That is what carries you through the edit. It's like within relationships. When you first start, you have the honeymoon phase, right? Everything is amazing. It's like, everything is, I love you, I love you, I love you. You can do no wrong, blah, blah, blah. And that carries you to the next stage. The same is true when you first start a video as well. You have so much love for the new project, the new idea. When I first get an idea given to me by source, it is the best, absolutely best. I write it, I'll start ideating further on it and just kind of like capturing the download that source has given me. And then taking action on that is fucking incredible. It's inspired action. I'm not sitting, I don't ever do the whole, let me just sit down and write all these ideas. That's not, only if I'm specifically challenge solving, okay? That is when I do that. But besides that, I never sit down and kind of like make video ideas or content ideas in general, because I do a lot of writing now. Check out my newsletter, check out my writing on my blog, social media, and definitely for my consulting library as well, which you can check out in the link below. But I digress. So when I capture an idea and I immediately write out, outline, title, thumbnail, blah, 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 film, edit, publish, like if that's all in the window of everything's fresh, everything's new, everything's exciting, it's not to say that I won't enjoy every moment. I don't expect that. That's unrealistic. But the freshness, the newness, it creates a level of passion and excitement that it's amazing. It's why, for example, last May when I was doing the craziest amount of writing I've ever done in my life, I loved every second of it because it was all new. Of course, I was also approaching content in a different way, whereas it was very focused on usefulness, which I absolutely love, and you're going to see a lot more of that in my content going forward. But it was so much fun because it was a new project. I didn't have to force myself to write. I didn't have to force myself to edit. It was so fresh and inspired that it carried me places I wasn't expecting. That is what carries you through the edit. For me, that shit was long gone. I almost resented my videos at that point because it was just like, I have no fucking passion for this whatsoever. I had to throw myself, I'm probably like most people are with jobs they absolutely hate, right? I just showed up every day, did what I could, even though I didn't want to do it. I had all sorts of embarrassment, all sorts of insecurity. I disliked that I said certain things a certain way and did this a certain way, but I was still trying to honor my past self, the person that filmed the video at the time and was creating that video. I was balancing, I want to make a great video, but I also want to make an accurate video at the same time. I thought this was maybe going to take a week. It ended up taking a full month of just crazy rigorous editing. But it turned out to be a very, very good video. So as the moving video part 1 came together, it started to become more fun, even though I was like, I just want this done because I have so many other things I need to be doing. But it started to become a fun process because I was enjoying what I was making. For me, this video became an absolute masterclass in editing, and there was an internal reward of making it an amazing, creative video that showcased my skills, allowed me to flex a little bit, and it was by far the best storytelling I'd done in a video to that point. So for me, that was where the fun came from, and creating some new shots and editing those up and being playful, having fun with things, adding memes, fucking around with things, adding some fun effects. Like, even though I was insecure about the story, by the time I released it, still have a little bit of that. The video itself was a fucking absolute W from an editing and storytelling perspective. Moving video part 2, not the case. That video was a fucking grind. I did not enjoy it, but I just kept showing up. I did what was required. This was really important to me at the time because I was working on the identity of becoming the type of person who does what's required no matter what's going on, whether it's the internal resistance, whether it's me being tired, whether it's external chaos, external circumstances, it doesn't fucking matter. Focus in and do what's required because that is what it takes to win. So fuck the feelings, even though I'm experiencing all this shit inside, fuck it all, okay? Heal that shit on the side, but then just show up and do what's required and just keep doing that over and over until it's done. Eventually it was done, but holy hell, it was an actual holy hell. That one was extra unfun because it was like dramatic, and I don't like stuff like that, you know? That's not what my channel is about. It's about self-improvement and stuff like that. That was also way too self-serving. I dislike that as well. I wanna make things that are helpful. That's why even at the end of the moving video part 1, I decided to include things that made it about other people instead, because the video is not just about me. It's about universal truths that relate to you. Otherwise, I would not be making these videos because it's so much easier for me to just move on with life rather than trying to make this whole creative thing. But I can't because I'm a creative through and through. So that's what I signed up for. Eventually, I ended up finishing moving video part 2, which took longer than expected as well because I was trying to really make some pushes with building the infrastructure for consulting. I was doing lots of stuff in between this, and eventually I just locked in on moving video part 2. I was like, I need this done. It was great to finally get that out, and it was hilarious because I thought it was actually like a bad video, as I talked about in the video itself. Didn't expect anything of it by the time I posted it, but it seemed like people resonated with it. It was cool to kind of just bring it full circle and get it done. Then haircut video. This was by far the most fun of the 3 because it was definitely a controversial message underlying it. Typically, I'd say, you know, fuck progressives and I'm fine with liberals, but I don't even think the liberals would like that video, to be honest. Actually, hold up. Even conservatives might not be fond of that video because you could have like a feminist conservative woman kind of thing, and they see that and they think misogynist. Our culture's so annoying, bro. That was probably the most challenging part because I don't like being controversial. It's so strange, right? I'm such a controversial person when I talk. If you've had any sort of conversation with me, my values are pretty controversial. But I don't actually like being controversial. It's just something I know I need to be able to do. As a truth seeker, it's just my internal dilemma. And there's definitely stuff I could heal around this to make this a lot easier on myself, but haven't got there yet. In time. But the haircut video, that was fun. That was way more fun than the other 2. Again, it did take longer than expected, as the other 2 did as well. But it ended up being, in my opinion, the best video I've ever made. And as I sit here right now, it's about to cross 8K, so that's awesome. Christmas plus the annual reflections plus the writing for the annual reflections. That took me away from the video temporarily, but around mid-January, I think it was end of January, I finally posted the haircut video. And then the big 3 were complete. This was such a weight on my shoulders that had been lifted. I was able to finally exist in my apartment and not feel like I was still trapped 2 places back. I was able to show my apartment and not care about it. I was able to finally get on camera without a beanie and just show you my bald ass head. I was able to post things in real time. It was so freeing. And yeah, I created this prison for myself in so many ways where I didn't need to do any of this, and yet I did. And equally, I'm not going to sit here and say like I would have changed it, because there's this concept in spirituality where this is going to open up to debates, and I don't give a fuck about having them in the comments. There's this concept that if it happened, it was supposed to happen, and everything is absolutely going by design, even if it's ugly, in the sense that we all sign up for this kind of thing. So it's not to say that fate is predetermined, because it's definitely not. This universe is ever expanding, ever changing, ever growing. But the themes, it's as if we sign up for the themes. Maybe not the specifics, but the overarching lessons, experiences. I think that's what we truly sign up for. So this has grown me in ways that I didn't anticipate it would have. And maybe why I still got that pull to finish these videos, even though I wanted to logically jump ship way early. And I'm talking about like a year ago kind of thing. I was ready to just give them all up, make things simple. But I didn't. Now, where this becomes challenging is this window that I had financially, where I thought I could make this work and get all the videos done and push so much with consulting as well. That's the challenge in my measurements right there. The videos should have been this small bit. They should have been condensed down. I should have dropped my expectations of what they could have been if I spent a ton of time on them, and instead focused on what would be best to put out, almost like the minimum viable product. But I didn't do that. I let them drag out way too long due to, again, subconscious perfectionism. It's plaguing me, bro. I'm working on it. Now, the underlying issue with all these was creative ego. I wanted so badly to make these absolutely fucking phenomenal that it made everything take so much longer than it should have. Especially because it took so long that it became this thing of, I've waited as long as I did. Why not push it a little bit longer and make sure I'm delivering something great because I've waited long enough already? What's another day? I remember specifically saying that to myself. What is another day? We've waited this long. And it's a reasonable thought, but it also can turn into timelines going way longer than I anticipate because I wanted it to be at that certain quality. It's a dangerous trap if you're not careful. And I understand where I was coming from at the time. I don't know if it was right or wrong. It just kind of, that's what happened. That's what I chose. That's the bed I made, so just the one I have to sleep in. There's part of me that's like, yes, that's awesome. I'm glad I did that because the videos did come out really well. But the other side of things was, what could things have looked like if I decided to just make it simple and not overthink things so much and heal through the underlying stuff instead of just throwing my head against the wall over and over again? What would that be like? Another major transformation point for me is that my creative ego has reduced so heavily. I care more about volume and simplicity than I do about having a perfect quality video, piece of creative, etc. I'd rather just go fast and do more than try to fixate on all these little tiny details that almost no one notices except for me. It's crazy how long I'll spend on the smallest of things just to satisfy the creative ego, but it's seemingly reduced of recent. And I don't feel the need to, how do I say this? I don't feel the need to justify myself by absolutely going hard with future creative. I think what I did with those three, especially moving video part 1 and then the haircut video, I thought that did a good enough job at showing what I could do creatively so that I don't need to do that for a while. As weird as that might sound, I can't be asked to make these complex edits that take me so long just to paint a visual experience of the message. I'd rather share more messages that have more of an impact than allocate so much of my resources in this life to making advanced videos. From an ROI perspective, it is just not worth it. I still have so many insecurities, but within this specific realm, I just wanted to show the world that I was good enough in this thing. And I think 2 of those 3 videos did that. And for me, that was like a case study that showed the world that I wasn't just wasting my time with everything, which is really tough because I hate the idea of wasting time, and I hate the idea of throwing potential directly in the garbage. And, inside of me at times, I've struggled with that because I've spent so much of my time creating things that people don't necessarily understand. So creativity, and in this case, like the edit, kind of justifies, in my mind at least, that I haven't been completely wasting my time. This is a tough topic for me to cover, but it's the truth. And the reason I'm saying this is that I'm going back to freelance. So yeah, it seems like I jumped too soon. It turns out I needed more time with consulting, and I didn't finish everything I needed to finish in terms of the infrastructure, the material, the structure of everything, the sales and marketing. I got close to where I wanted to be, but I'm still not 100% there yet. So it's like, realistically, I needed like another month and a half, maybe 2, to get to the place where I needed to go. But I just didn't have that time. That's the game. I fucking made those choices, right? You've just gotta sleep in the bed that you made. This thing is live right now. You can check it out below. But there is so much more that should have been done at this time. And I chose to allocate it as a content. That is on me. I chose to pursue these past projects instead of going full tilt with what needed to be done for consulting. And I spent too much time on content, and now I'm feeling the repercussions. The money has ran out. I need to go back to what I was doing before. Some of my old clients, and then some new clients as well. But I'm excited. It's weird because I know this is my path with the consulting, and I'm in the game right now. I'm experimenting. I'm putting, things are coming together slowly but surely. Unfortunately, they didn't come together as fast as I wanted them to. But again, this is all on me. I have no one else to blame except for myself. Why this excites me though is that I think I figured out the way to balance this all. I didn't have the perception of time that I currently have right now back in the day. So yes, I will be more divided in my resources, but I am ready to do things differently this time. I'm ready to do this as long as it takes. I am going to jump more appropriately when I have more infrastructure in place, more clientele, way more consistent monthly income. I'm just going to be way smarter about things and more patient about things as well. This has been coming to fruition for the past decade. I just hadn't realized it at the time. This technically started back in 2012, the beginnings of, I'm referencing things in my material that I literally learned when I was 16, 15 years old. So yeah, it's crazy, but it's slowly but surely coming together, and I do not give a fuck. I'm going to make this happen somehow, some way. The potential for those who go through this system, it's crazy, bro. That is the biggest reason of why I'm doing this. I want to help people tap into their potential. That matters so much to me, man. It matters so much. People have done this for me, and I want to pay it forward. I am in the game tapping into my potential right now, and I want other people to do the same. It's not all right for me to keep this so selfishly to myself. The tools, the technologies, the processes, the the insights, the lessons. It's all, it needs to be shared. It needs to be shared. I am digressing so hard right now, but I mean, that needed to be said. One sec, I need to fucking blow my nose. What's going on? Getting back to the original part of this video, this whole thing is becoming this like humble sandwich, and I'm all right with it, man. Like, my ego is not like it used to be, which I'm grateful for. A lot's changing right now, and the direction of the channel is also changing at the same time. Now, instead of me, just listing out things and everything being super organized and everything like that in a listicle, I thought I would just share my experiences over that time, and hopefully you can take out the lessons as they came, because, just don't be a dumbass. Like, you got this. I believe in you. You don't need information hand-fed to you, right? So hopefully that's the case. But the other side of thing is, I just talked about consulting, and maybe that seems off topic, but it's really not, because it's very fundamental in the future of the channel. So I've previously, we talked about how I was documenting my journey. I talked about the kinds of stuff I was making content for. I didn't know exactly what I wanted the channel to be. All I know for the longest time was, like, I wanted it to be the best videos, and then it eventually became self-improvement, but then I was just so crippled by all this stuff. And anyways, I've wanted it to be self-improvement for like 2 years now. And the difference though is, like, I'm ready to share the absolute gold. However, the difference is that in that time, in the same way that back when I finished those vlogs, I knew that it was time to move on to a different format, that I've had enough with it. In the same way that took place, I am now feeling that exact same thing for these complicated edits. It was chaos, those 3 videos. The third less than the first 2, because I had more structure and a lot of things that I've worked through at that point. But the time it takes me to make those videos is too much. I don't care to do that anymore. I don't know if I would go as far as to say, like, I'm burnt out kind of thing, because I'm making a lot of content still, so that's not necessarily true. But I'm kind of burnt out from the idea of making videos that are so heavily reliant on editing. And I know this is fundamental to storytelling, so I don't plan on giving up that creative control potentially ever, because I know how important the edit is. But I'm done with this perfectionism side of things. I'm done with making videos so over the top. I'm ready to just sit down, like videos like this, and just kind of, I'll throw some visuals and some graphics, but nothing crazy. Like, I don't want to overdo this. I want to get back to the origins of kind of how this all started, which was me grabbing a camera and saying, this is what's on my mind right now. Here's a good lesson from something that I just experienced. I want to show you my experiences on things while not going overboard on the complexity of that side of things as well. I want to let moments breathe. I want to show you vlogs here and there, but not be so attached to having them be a certain way and be super high retention and everything. Like, I just want to show you some real life. I don't want to show you some sort of artificial thing that completely lacks emotion. I want to be able to connect with you guys. I want to share that emotion within inside of that video, whatever I'm trying to convey. I want to do more how-to. I want to explore ideas, explore human potential. I want to share information that helps you close your gap on your potential as I'm closing my gap on mine. This is I'm working with you kind of thing. And it goes with consulting, but it also goes with content as well. I want you to bear with me, as this might not be an easy process. I'm still dealing with certain parts of my brain that are still fucked with the perfectionism side of things. But overall, I've just gotten to the point where I can't do complexity anymore, bro. I'm done. Here and there, I'll still make a very artistic video, but those are going to be more rare going forward. I need to get back to consistency. I can only have so much impact if I am spending all my time hashing out some amazing edit instead of sharing knowledge, perspectives, experiences where the real impact is had. Fuck the edit, bro. It's not about the edit. as someone who's deeply committed to the idea of impact, that needs to come first before the artistic stuff. It's not to say that the videos are going to suck now either. They're not. It's just going to be a different types of more simplistic type of creative and just focus on value more than art. This is applicable to all of my platforms now. You've got the overarching mission of maximize people's potential, okay? And that specific archetype that I'm aiming for at this given moment, it is entrepreneurs, creators, and then like self-improvement fiends, okay? And this is who I'm trying to reach. Good is the enemy of great. You have to let go of what got you here in order to get to the next place. So that's what I'm doing right now. I am purging. I've reactivated my socials, but I've unfollowed everyone. I am using everything for content distribution purposes now, and just scrapped the personal side or the social side of social media, and now it's just a push platform only. It's weird, but it's what needs to be done. Done using social media like a normal person, bro. Going forward, you can expect just anything I can give you within reason that is going to help you get closer to your ideal potential, whatever that might be. And I have my system for how I plan to accomplish that. But I'm just like, I'm ready to cook right now, bro. I'm ready to cook, and I'm so ready to keep things simple and try to keep things off a pedestal, surrender to the chaos, embrace where I'm at instead of trying to be better than where I currently am. If I'm garbage at writing, I'm just going to release garbage writing. I'm not garbage writing. I'm actually pretty decent. I have a long ways to go, but I'm just surrendered to where I'm at. I'm not going to be perfect. I'm not going to be this world-class person right from the get. And even when I get to world-class, there will be days where I'm not world-class at said thing. It happens. You fluctuate, you go up and down on like a scale kind of thing. Even this, I have a nasally nose right now. I don't know why, but I'm still probably going to release this. Hey, maybe I don't. Maybe I redo the whole thing, and that's okay too. I'm not going to sit here and judge myself for it. I'm just going to lean into what life is serving me and follow the intuition, because the intuition guides me in ways that my mind could never conjure up. I'm just letting the source work through me, being a vessel for good, vessel for life force, if you will. Just doing the best I can. Trying to keep things simple, keep things orderly. Yeah, life is good. Not every day is amazing, but I just keep doing my best, bro. Keep doing my best. All right, final notes. If you plan to ever succeed as a creative, especially on YouTube, don't stop posting. I still posted on my second channel throughout that, but there was such pressure on the main channel that it stopped me from doing what I needed to do. Going forward, the main thing I need to work on is consistency. And to bring that back to the original concept, that means not posting once every 2 years. I haven't posted in, I think we're probably looking at 2 months now. And that's by design. I'm releasing newsletters instead, and then I brought back social media and everything like that. So trying to figure that side of things out, plus building all the consulting infrastructure material and everything. So it's a lot more writing than videos right now, but we will get back to it soon. This is why I'm making this video. Just kind of like set the tone for a bunch of things I wish my former self would know. Don't take things so seriously. You can just take things lightly. It's not that big of a deal. My brain tries to trick me all the time into like thinking everything is so much bigger than it actually is. It's just silly. Don't trust it. Nothing matters as much as your brain thinks it does. Then we've got keep things simple. There's always a level that can be simpler. If you're ever in too much chaos, you can simply ask yourself, what would this look like if this were simple? That has elicited some of the most orderly and clear and simple responses that can move me forward even when the world feels like it's falling apart. Highly recommend that. Then we've got the system side of things. Like, make sure your systems are dialed for your creativity. A lot of people think, art needs to be this chaos thing. And sure, I guess there's always going to be a degree of chaos because it is art, but I found the better of an artist I am, the more I have fundamental order, but not attachment to order. It's preference of order, but then surrender to the chaos at the same time. Hope that makes sense. I would also suggest to my former self, you don't fixate on the order of things, because that can really fuck you up and slow things down if you think, this needs to be in this way and this needs to be in that way. Just surrender to the fact that maybe your mind is just yapping and it actually has no bearing in reality, because it doesn't. But your brain will think it does. Trust me. My brain was so convinced. And looking back now, it is absolutely fucking retarded. Like, it just doesn't make sense. But at the time, it made so much sense. And everything was like, yes, it needs to be this way, has to be that way, this, then this, then this, then this. And then that slowed everything down so much. It could have been like, da, 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 but instead it was like, da, 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 da. So just do things as in their proper time. That's the other side of things. Work on your identity as well. My identity for the longest time was I do things slow. I'm a slow person. I'm always behind. I've worked so much on this now where I see myself as the type of person who does things in their proper time, who defaults into doing things fast, who keeps things simple, doesn't go overboard with complexity. These are all related to speed, by the way. Who does what's required, which means doing things even if I don't want to do them in their proper time, doing them fast. Those kinds of things. And that's been fundamental to changing how fast I'm going in this life. I'm so thankful for it, because I was slow. But now I'm moving at a way faster rate than I have ever done in my entire life, and it's exciting. Also, have fun with things. Creativity is a lot. It's intense, but it also doesn't need to not be fun. You can make anything fun, simple, and easy, even if it still is a challenging motherfucker. But you don't need to take everything as serious as your brain might tell you that you need to perceive it. Have fun with things, keep things lighter, be playful, be experimental, embrace the fuck ups, embrace the drafts, embrace the imperfection. Just lean into it all and surrender to what is, instead of trying to avoid the mistakes or avoid too much chaos. Just dive in. If it's gonna happen, you might as well just have fun with it. And then the most important thing of all this is make sure you work internally. Make sure you do inner work, because where the actual behavior is coming from, where those thoughts are coming from, where the emotions coming from, is not necessarily where it actually is originating from. It's not the external, it's not the circumstances that are dictating these things. It's very much the energetic field that is the predecessor, the precursor to everything that happens in our world. When I'm having these thoughts, for example, that I'm having recently about like social media posts, these aren't good enough. I can sense that that's just straight sabotage. And then there's something in my body that I can feel. If I do bodily awareness, I can feel that tension that comes up in a certain place in my body. That is where I need to go. I need to process that. I need to not mentally process that, but experience that resistance so that I can pass through. That is one form of energy work. There are some others as well that is like goes a little bit crazier and can be even way more effective. But if you neglect the energetic realm, the challenge is people will say, oh, like, I don't believe in that. It's like, okay, awesome. You don't have to. But by pushing it to the side, you do not relieve yourself of the consequences of doing so. If I say I don't believe in health, and then I don't go to the gym, and I don't eat right, and I treat my body like shit, I am not free from the consequences of those beliefs, of those choices. So sure, enjoy. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you. I don't really give a fuck. But like, because I'm just focused on living my life and helping those who want to be helped. I used to want to be a savior. I'm over that shit. I don't care anymore. I really don't. I'm not here to save you. You can do you, but there are consequences to your choices. Let's say that. I would highly encourage you to do the inner work that allows you to release the underlying blockages, resistance, and then things start to like fix themselves. Like I'm telling you, that is the greatest self-improvement that you could ever do, is focus on clearing things energetically. It's the game. It's why I got into consulting to begin with. I originally wanted to only do that, and then consulting became this whole like package deal that included that. So the consulting as a package, that gets people in the door. But what they stay for is the transformational benefits of focusing on the root cause. You fix that, everything else typically fixes itself. And then you can just add on top of that to make things even better. So that has been one of the greatest things I've ever done for creativity. Hope you do that as well if you're called to that. And if not, I will live. I will very much live. All right. Thank you so much for watching this video. What a strange video this has become. I just felt the need to sit down, and this has become a whole yap session, really. Don't know what I'm doing with this now, but we'll see. I might post it on my main channel. Maybe I divide it up into multiple parts or something like that, or maybe I turn it into a podcast. I don't know. But I hope my massive fucking failures in this department over the past couple of years can be useful towards your creative journey, so that you can avoid these mistakes and go forward, create more, and have a better journey doing so as well. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Hope this brought value. And as always, I will catch you in the next one.